Can I take a different tack on answering that? So there's our declaration is a one-pager. Our Constitution is 4 pages, about 4,500 words. But our Code of Federal Regulations, which essentially is the administrative code for the federal government, you want to guess how many pages that is? Approximately? 20,000? 20,000? Do I hear 30,000? 40,000? 40,000? 40,000? 30,000 going once? Okay. The answer is nearly 250,000 pages. If you printed that side by side, front and back, and 500 pages in a ream of paper, 10 reams of paper in a box, you get an entire pallet of paper for one copy of the Code of Federal Regulations. That is what the government, that's just the federal level. That's not our states, that's not our cities, that's not our HOAs, that's none of that. Government has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. You can just measure that in page count alone. Those are the regulations that impact us. And so we think about government as punishing us, as limiting our rights and privileges. And that is very much true. That's what most of government is. But we have the Constitution, which is just 4 pages to those 250,000, that protects our rights. So what if we go back to a government that protects our rights? Secretary of State's office is the 3rd highest constitutional office under our Constitution of 1851, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State. By the name Secretary, it implies that there's not a lot of policy. And it's not. There's not. However, there's one area where I do believe there's policy, and this is one area where I pledge, and this sort of ties into how do we protect businesses. And I have pledged, I pledge now, I will pledge again in the future, that as Secretary of State, I won't revoke your business license based on an executive order from the governor. And here's where politics come into play. So during COVID, we had a Republican governor who turned to his Republican Secretary of State. He then appointed her successor. So there's a lot of power play there, but they're all in the same party, so they have leverage, and they can say, do this. And so he turned to the Secretary of State and said, revoke the business licenses of those companies, restaurants, bars, stores, groceries, that aren't enforcing mask mandates. Now, however you feel about that, the fact that we have a government that's powerful enough to take away your livelihood, that's powerful enough to shut down your business for no other reason than they say so, that's inexcusable. That's overreach. And so the government that I foresee, the government that I serve, is the one that protects your business, that says, no, that's not proved. No, you're allowed to keep your business open. No, I'm going to stand and make sure that you maintain your business license. So when we get back to the foundation of government, as consent for all of us, and as a force to protect your rights and your right to do business, and your right to feed your families, your right to serve your communities, that's what government's meant to do. That's what I'm here to do.
While you're speaking, you can clap.
Great suggestion.
You were talking about, Secretary of State having, because I did apply for my LLC, and now I'm an S corp, and now I've heard horror stories about if you let your DBA expire or something like that. So when you talk about having like a dedicated, almost like a caseworker, right? Is that all the things that they'll help you do to make sure that things don't expire on you and things don't?
So that's part of it, and there should be systems that automate that. That's not necessarily a human function. We can take a look at that. But as somebody who's the catcher in the rye, to be looking out for you, right? That's what customer service is. When somebody calls me to say, hey, Jeff, your oil should probably be due for a change, that's a nice service, right? I'm reminded. That's why I pay a premium for that. And so when we get to the point of government serving us, remember who's in charge? It's us, right? We the people. Those people, right? That's where the office can and will continue to serve you. So that's one of the many functions. But really to guide you, government's huge. And we don't necessarily even know which departments or divisions we need to work through, or what forms of paperwork, or what happens if it gets bogged down here, but we needed to get over there. They're the experts in government and bureaucracy. Let's let them help us get back to what we do, which is serving our customers.
Thank you.